You are listening to the Real Estate Growth Hackers Show.
What is up? Zach Hammer here. This is the Real Estate Growth Hackers live show. We've been off for a while. As you might notice, I've got some different environment behind me. This is actually the RV that we live in full-time traveling the country. You can see my cat over here up on our counter in our kitchen. You might see my kids. You might see my wife. We're gonna have a little bit of a free-flowing environment going on here. I'm excited to bring on today. I've got Kim Stanley. She's going to be talking to us about some cool stuff for the downsizing market. Let me tell you a little bit about her. So she's a former real estate agent / broker. She has over a decade of experience in the downsizing and move management markets. Her workbook, How to Make a Downsize More, Your Guide to a Right-Size Lifestyle, has helped hundreds to move forward more quickly, easily, and with less stress. Kim's parent company, Downsize My Home LLC, is a member of the National Association of Senior Move Managers. So we've got a fun, exciting, specific segment here to talk to you guys about. So we're going to get to that in just a second. Now, before I bring Kim on, let me tell you real quick, we've got a service that we're working on right now where we're helping you as a real estate agent become a local celebrity in your market. The way that we're doing that is we're helping you put together the kinds of content that appeals to your market, regardless of whether they're in the market for a transaction, right? So we're talking about local stuff. We're talking about businesses. We're talking about restaurants, that kind of idea. If that sounds like something interesting to you, you can check us out at localcelebrityshow.com. There's a video there that explains what we're up to, how you can get in contact with us if you feel like it's a good fit. Essentially what we're doing is we're helping you to create the content and then take that content and amplify it, distribute it so that it goes as far as possible. So again, if you want to check that out, you can go to localcelebrityshow.com to get the details. Otherwise, let's go ahead and dive into the show here. I'm going to bring Kim Stanley in, and let's get it started. All right, Kim, you are on. You are live here currently we are in Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Wow.
Is where we are, and you are in the Marauder is what we call our RV here. So yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So yeah, let's go ahead and just dive right in. So Kim, tell me a little bit about where did you kind of get started? How did you end up in this world of real estate? You're now in the downsizing space, but tell me a bit about kind of where that came to be. What's your story of getting into the real estate world?
Right. Well, formerly from Columbia, Missouri. I understand you used to live there too.
I did.
So
for about 3 or 4 years.
Home of the Mizzou Tigers.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah. So in fall of 2006, I decided that it was time to get into real estate. I had been working with my husband in our company for about 9 years and felt the need to diversify and do something different. So I got my broker's license, started real estate. But like most people starting real estate, it's like you're at the bottom of the mountain and you're like, I see all these people doing transactions up there. How do I do that? Had an opportunity to help an agent represent an upscale condo development in Columbia that was really well suited for early retirees and empty nesters, that kind of thing. So I would sit there at the model home on the weekends and people would come in and it was a beautiful place and they loved it. So, but when I started talking to them about, great, you love it, let's talk about how can we move you from here to here, what's your current situation? Their faces would just drop because they all had these huge homes filled with years of stuff. They said, got our kids' stuff, we got our parents' stuff, blah, blah, blah. We don't know where to start. And they would just walk away, and it's happened over and over again. And even in staying in touch with them, they did nothing. They were literally stuck with their stuff. And it was very frustrating for me as a rookie realtor. So I thought there's got to be something out of there that can help people. And again, this was 11 years ago. I went online and couldn't find anything. So the rest of my story is a personal one. About the same time, my mother, who lived in Iowa, all of a sudden went from very, very healthy, not on any medication, to terminally ill with brain cancer. And that was a big shocker and rocked my world. So moved her down to Columbia, and we took care of her in our home until she passed away. And then I went back up to northern Iowa to liquidate her estate, and it was overwhelming, and it was just a nightmare. So after that, I just decided something's got to happen. People should not have to go through this. So I wrote a workbook and created a downsizing toolkit that had all the hands-on materials that people would need to go through the sorting process, to make good decisions, and to plan a downsize move with less stress and, that type of thing. And I thought, wow, this really has a lot of market potential, but I don't know how to market it. So I just used it with my clients, and I started building my business working with seniors, and I really developed a passion for it, and just kind of put it on the back burner. And in 2012, and I was successful at it. I had a partner, and we really did well. And not just with seniors, but just in general. That's where we marketed to. We got a lot of other business as well. But then in 2012, my husband and I moved to Austin, Texas. Started a real estate business over from scratch. I don't recommend that, but we did.
There's a lot of people who do it.
Oh my gosh. But we invested in it, and we grew pretty quickly. And this kept tapping me on the shoulder, so I started networking with senior industry people and started developing the senior business again. And then about 4 years ago, I decided that this was my mission and my passion. I quit a very lucrative real estate business. I was the lead on the team, and went into downsizing and move management full-time.
Nice.
So redeveloped my packaging for my kit, reworked the workbook. I'm now on the 3rd edition. And so I'm here. So I also have a passion for helping realtors. And I know a lot of realtors who've gotten their designations in the senior industry, but are floundering in really developing a strong, successful business in an arena that they feel passionate about. So last year I created a continuing education course with the Texas Real Estate Commission. I've been delivering that for a year. And I've taken the material from that and expanded it and developed a hands-on, truly business building course. So that's my journey. That's where I am right now. And I just am passionate about wanting to share what I've learned in the last decade or more with agents, because the downsizing market is huge. And it's growing fast.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there that I kind of want to unpack with you. So we've got a few different things, right? So first and foremost, and I'll kind of note these down for you so that we can cover them. But first and foremost, I want to hear a little bit more about that actual downsizing process, that workbook that you put together. I want to hear about what does that look like? Because we're in a time right now. We've got what's her name, Marie Kondo, right? The tidying up stuff, and it's kind of a similar sort of thing, right? Where it's for a different purpose. For the most part, people are doing that kind of as a way to maximize their own life right now. But what you're talking about is a very practical thing that needs to happen. Of sort of, I like the way that I think it was on some of your stuff that you worded it, right sizing. Yeah, there you go. Your guide to right size, light size. So not just downsizing, but the idea of really, making this, making the amount of stuff that you have designed to fit the reality of your current lifestyle and maybe prepare for that transition, right? So yeah, let's be specific, by real estate agents should focus here, where the opportunity is. Let's talk a little bit just about that process to give people an idea of what kind of help they're getting.
Absolutely. Sure. Because with many realtors, they can relate to this. You develop the relationship, you get the listing agreement signed, and then you say, I'll be back in a few weeks. Here's the list of things to do, or here's our stager has given you a list of things to do, and you come back and nothing's happened. Or you have the reluctant seller who says, I know I need to move, and they don't do it. And you go 2 months, 5 months, a year, and your efforts, your time is wasted because those people are stuck. So the first step is to help teach them how to make good decisions about their stuff and how to process all the memories that are behind that stuff, or where to start. The number one thing I hear, besides I'm overwhelmed, is I don't know where to start. So in my workbook, one of the first things I do, besides helping people go, okay, why am I hanging on to this? What are my hang-ups? And I have about 9 hang-ups that people normally have. And at least if they can recognize them, they'll go, oh, okay. But then going, where do I start in my house? What's the area in my house I need? So it takes you step by step to the process. It's got coaching in it, it's got counseling in it, and it has project management. And those are the three hats that as realtors we have to use. But this gives you a framework on exactly how to help your clients through that, or if you want to use this with a move manager or professional to have them help them, they can do it.
Awesome. Where can people get this workbook, by the way? Is that something that's currently in print? Is that something people can go and download somewhere? Where can people get access to that?
That's the $64 question. I've just finished. I'm in the process of formatting it, but I don't have it up on my website right now other than in the old kit form, but I am taking some advance orders. So if people will send me their email address, I will put them on the list and absolutely let them know as I get this off the press and I finalize the price of it, what's involved in it.
And we got a link in the like the show notes right now on the live that we're doing that people can access to connect with you on your Facebook, can connect with you there and start, then be able to get the information in the future. In the show notes when we actually get this one out as a podcast, you'll be able to find that in the show notes as well. So people can connect with you and get access to that guide. What was the name of your Facebook page again? If somebody wanted to just look it up.
Right. For realtors, it's Downsizing Specialists in Real Estate, DSRE.
Gotcha. Downsizing Specialists in Real Estate, DSRE. Okay, awesome. So so anybody who's listening to this, you can feel free to go there, check that out, get connected so that you can get access to that guide. Because it sounds like whether or not somebody's specializing this, there are very often situations where they probably want to have that expertise, just day to day as a real estate agent. You're going to encounter occasionally situations where you need to be able to help people through this kind of process, right? Even if it's not your specialty, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So let's dive into more of the meta, the background side of this. So from a real estate agent's perspective, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, do we have now a pretty solid definition of kind of thinking through who is this downsizing market, or is there more that we should dive into there?
I really think there's a lot more to take a look at that.
Cool. Let's talk about that then.
Yeah, just statistically, and this is one of the things I go through in my course, the downsizing market, obviously, it's not millennials.
Right.
But it's anybody who's going through a transition where they're moving from a larger home to a smaller home. That could be anybody from what I call the suddenly single, which are divorcees.
Right.
And that's a big one, to even younger widows or widowers. I'm working with a 48-year-old widow right now who, after a year, is now just able to go through her husband's things. To baby boomers, obviously, we know that 10,000 of them are turning 65 every day. It is huge. We know the tsunami is here. It's not coming. It's here. We're in the middle of it. And we have, I think, about 15 years left of this huge market. The other thing about
and to be clear, that's just the baby boomers, right? Like the reality is people are getting older every year. Yeah. So even though the surge may be winding down in 15 years, the reality is there's always going to be a market for this group of people that's moving from having built up a life, built up a family. Now that family is out of the house, right? So there's that market will always exist. So yeah.
Yeah, well, now Gen Xers are starting to enter into that, gee, my kids are going off to college, la, la, la.
Right.
But they're also, Gen Xers and boomers are dealing with their parents, and that's the huge one. So you're looking at least 2 generations that you're serving in the downsizing market, and it's huge. And they're the people that have the most money. They have the most, to get really hardcore and business-like about it, they've got several $1 trillion of both investments and investments in their homes. So there's a big, those are the ones that you don't really have to worry about them getting qualified for a loan.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing, and just gone a little bit wonky for me for a second there, but I think I heard what you said. But what's interesting is this is kind of a personal thing for me too. So it was about year and 2 months, year and 3 months ago is when we actually sold our house in order to buy and move into an RV. So talk about downsizing, right? Like, I'm very familiar with this process of taking the possessions we've accumulated and figuring out, what is important to us and all of that. Now, we may be kind of a rare, somewhat rare, although the full-time RV community is somewhere around 1 million people strong. So it's
and you're probably one of the younger ones.
Probably, but yeah. So what's interesting is maybe on the for anybody listening or watching this, that might be in the back of your mind as well as kind of a really sub niche of this that might be there. We owned a house and we sold it in order to move into this kind of downsizing lifestyle. But a lot of the things that you're talking about are very similar of having to think through our possessions and having to think through that process. So, but anyway, so. Continuing back to the point of who is this market, and then and now let's talk back. Let's talk into why is this such a valuable market for real estate agents to go after. So we touched on that, right? There's a lot of money in this market. It's a lot of the people who have accumulated wealth over their lifespan, so they have the money to do something further, right? So it's a good market, right?
Right. Absolutely is. And one of the things that may be keeping agents away from it is they're thinking, well, it's just a one-sided transaction. For you sold your home, you moved into an RV. You probably didn't get a commission on buying the RV per se. Or
right.
But you know what I'm saying? But you can't discount that because there are so many other ways. People who are downsizing are moving into smaller patio homes, gated communities. They're moving into townhomes, condos. Some of them are definitely moving into senior living, into independent, assisted living, those kinds of things. But those people, you're dealing with an entire family unit when you're in the downsizing market. So again, you've got the boomers who are doing it themselves, or downsizing themselves, but now they've got the burden of their parents that they've got to worry about. And that's where the real meat is. That's where you can truly have an impact on people's lives.
Well, and not to mention, it may not be an immediate double-sided transaction. So just like you mentioned, depending on what's going on, there may or may not be, the person who you're helping to sell. You may not get a buyer side on that as well from that specific person. But, we know the reality in real estate is for every listing you take, you tend to get a buyer deal as well, even if it's not from that specific client, just from the leads that you generate off of the listing, right? So regardless of whether, whether the client themselves is going to also buy, which, you're mentioning, that does often happen too.
Right.
You still just getting the listing itself is going to be a valuable thing. So anyway, that makes a ton of sense. So let's talk about, for the people who are wanting to, go after this market, the people who see the value, see this surge, this flood of business that is coming, that we're in the midst of, let's talk a bit about what are some of the strategies that are working in order to brand yourself and get in front of this swell of business.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing, the thing that I start out with when I'm coaching agents is, what is your story? Now, that's something that any really good marketer is going to kind of wrap around. But I'm talking about specifically people who get into the downsizing and senior market usually do so because they have a personal story, just like I have a personal story, which is what got me into it. Most people have a personal story. You have a personal story about why you made that big change. So being able to communicate that story, that unique story, with passion and purpose, and saying it in the right way, and then knowing where to put it out so that your story gets told, that's going to distinguish you from everybody else that's out there that's doing it. So that's number one. There's a lot of other things. One of the things that I'm helping an agent out in Monterey, California with is positioning herself, building the right contacts, and then being able to get out there and be seen as an expert. One of the things I produce for my realtors is PowerPoint presentations.
Right.
I talk about the whole downsizing process and talk about some of the emotional parts that people have to deal with and how to overcome those, and helping their clients through those things. So now then they're instantly perceived as the expert when they can go out there and give presentations.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that makes sense. I mean, the reality, so, the first point of really, dialing in and knowing what is your story. The reality is we as people, we connect. We're story-driven people, right? Like,
absolutely.
When it comes to teaching, when it comes to really everything, it all comes back to stories, right? And so when you're doing good marketing, whether it's this market or not, it is always centered on what's your story, what can people actually, aside from all of the points, people remember stories way more than the specific tactics and whatnot. They remember you, they remember that feeling, they remember what it was that called you into this space. So yeah, I think that makes tons of sense. So first and foremost, dialing in that story, and then you mentioned next. Now you once you've dialed in your story, now you start putting together some of that more how-to presentation, sort of helpful content in order to show yourself as the expert, right?
Absolutely. And going back to what you said before about, the power of your story and using that as the foundation of your branding. When I first got into this business in 2006, I went through lots of training, and everything I heard was when potential sellers ask you, why should I list with you? Well, you pull out your fancy listing presentation and you show them all the things you're going to do to market their home and what a great marketer you are, and your testimonials and all that stuff. And especially if you're new, you don't have all that, but you got your super duper listing presentation and say, our team is so great and this is all we have. We have 100 years, blah, blah, blah. Right. People don't care. I have gotten so far away from that in the last 5 years, because what people want to know is, do you care about me? Do you understand my situation? And can you get me from point A to point B more quickly, more easily, with less stress, and maybe save me some money along the way? That's all they care about. So that's the power of being able to tell your unique story and then be able to quickly show how you're an expert. Yeah,
that's the power of stories, right? So when you have a story, you're generally able to almost fly under the radar, where people can connect to you and very quickly build up that know, like, trust, right? Where they understand who you are, where you're coming from, and knowing that is a big reason for them to understand, assuming you have the expertise as well, that why that's going to work out well for them. Because I've been we started this show. I was talking about the service that we're putting together to help people essentially get their message out to the market consistently on localcelebrityshow.com. And what we're doing there is we're making it so that people can very consistently, share their story, but share the stories of other people. And by doing that, they're building this connection with the community, and that's what people end up working with them on, right? They work with them because of that. And what's funny is, in the process of doing this, a number of the people that I've been talking to are making their decision of whether or not to work with me almost 100% based on, why I'm doing this and where that idea came from. And so it's so powerful. Whether it's this strategy or not, and that's one of the things on this show I like to unpack is, sure, this is a fantastic market, and for the right people, it's going to be a great fit, something that they should go after. But there's all sorts of different kinds of markets, right? And one of the key takeaways that people could take from this is, regardless of what you're doing, knowing what your story is going to be such a powerful marketing technique and branding technique that you need to be doing regardless. So yeah, anyway, love the story. The story-centered branding approach.
Yeah, and one of the other things I'd like to share with your listeners is the senior housing industry. The senior housing industry can feel kind of intimidating if you're not familiar with it. I've been immersing myself into it again for about 11 years. And it's a very unique industry, but it is huge and it's growing so fast. You know, Wall Street has picked up on it, and now there's REITs that are just the senior housing industry. There are huge, giant corporations that are buying up some of these smaller retirement centers and so on, and creating these amazing senior communities, and understanding, you know, everybody still kind of has in their mind that stereotypic nursing home image of what a senior community is. And in the vast majority of cases, it is so far from the truth. Most of these places, I'm like, please sign me up. If I could afford to live here, I would. They're resort style living. They're just like, you know, being on a cruise ship all the time, or being in vacation land. And the industry has changed because now that boomers are entering the market, you know, I'm a boomer, and I'm sorry, I'm never going to be old, right? I'm forever young. And we don't want to consider ourselves, don't call me a senior. Don't call me this or that. You know, I want to still feel like I'm hip, I'm with it, and I want to have an active lifestyle. And so these newer communities that are 55 plus, active adult communities, are just that, and understanding them. And those are places where you're going to get the other end of that transaction also. Those are places where, excuse me, people are buying homes, villas in those communities. There's also, excuse me, some senior communities, independent living communities, where the client is leasing the place and all their meals are, you know, the activity director and the whole thing. Some communities will pay a referral fee of up to a month's rent, and these places are anywhere between $3,000 and $7,000 a month. So,
absolutely. You know, it's actually, you know, surprisingly, one of the things that I am minorly familiar with. There's a specific a specific model of doing assisted living called residential assisted living, where essentially you buy up a like a single family home and rebuild it to be kind of a mini assisted living sort of idea, where you have like a live-in support, and then instead of being like a massive complex, it's
it's
2, 3. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So I've done a lot of research. I've done a lot of research on that and learned about the industry, and so there is such a wide variety of options for people as they're getting into this stage of their life where maybe they need a little bit more support. But there's like all sorts of different levels, right? Sometimes it's just they need a small amount of help. Sometimes it's they need more, or they need medical help, and that's kind of what determines which of these communities make sense, for the lifestyle that they're able to live and that they need help with.
Right, and as you're developing an expertise in this field, it's really important to know when to refer and when to be able to help that client directly, because you're getting into sometimes a healthcare and medical arena, or sometimes a mental health arena, as people are starting to have dementia, or maybe they lost a spouse and they need some counseling. Having the resources and knowing where to put these people. I think the biggest heart-wrenching issue that I see sometimes, I have a real heart for the caregivers, and those are the adult children that are now responsible for mom and dad. And maybe mom and dad are living in their home, or maybe mom and dad are in an assisted living or a memory care facility, but they're still responsible for their care. And on average, a sobering statistic, a caregiver, especially a full-time caregiver, their lives will be shortened about 2 years as they're as they're trying to care for their family member. Their health is suffering. So anything that we can do to help ease this, and helping to get mom or dad out of a home that has trip hazards, out of a home that they're not able to take care of anymore, or that's becoming tougher and tougher, is a huge thing. So that's part of the mission, part of doing this. But it creates such a sense of loyalty. I've got a gal that I'm working with now, and her parents are in their 90s, and we're going to be moving them in another week or two. And she just absolutely, we're a godsend for her. We know we are. And if she ever needs a home or needs, any kind of real estate services, we know who she's going to call.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And some of these questions that you're talking about of knowing when to refer, where to refer. I know, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, you're starting a course / kind of a coaching sort of situation where you're actually helping people learn this process and basically giving them the tools in the process to know the answers to these questions that you're talking about, right? Knowing when to refer, knowing what kinds of places you're looking for. You can help real estate agents who are kind of looking to go down this road start to go down this road and gain this expertise, right?
Yes, we're going to be, I say diving deep into that,
right.
and how to build your tribe. How to build your tribe, because when you're a real estate agent serving a typical client, you've got your painter, you've got your handyman, you've got your landscaper, those kinds of people. When you're in the business of helping downsizers and seniors, that has to expand. You've got to have estate attorneys on your side, lots of other people. And part of what I'm going to be doing is interviewing experts in those industries and telling them how can realtors best help you, and how should they be approaching you or recommending you, and how can you recommend them, so we can start creating an awareness and a partnership kind of aspect. I honestly believe, Zach, that realtors should be at the heart of solving the senior real estate crisis that's happening right now. I mean, it's a housing crisis. And I think real estate should be at the heart of it. I think NAR needs to wake up and say, hey, we want to step up and be a solution here. Because right now the senior housing industry is taking the lead on this, and they need to partner with realtors.
And it makes sense why you're saying that, because the reality is, for me as a marketer, right, one of the things that I'm always thinking about is what is the customer journey, right? Like what are the triggers that happen along the sequence that ultimately lead to whatever. And I would bet that a large portion of, just like you said, that the sequence, that the journey that people who are in this state of their life go through is one of the first things that they start thinking. This home doesn't work for me anymore, right? I need to be out of this home and into a better situation. And the reality is, who are the people that deal with that, right? Who are the people? It's the real estate agents, right? It's not the senior housing industry that deal with that aspect of the journey. And so you're right. It's one of the first triggers that's going to be that thing that leads down the road of what are those later years in life going to look like, and what is that process? So being informed as a realtor, as somebody who helps with that process, is going to, just for the basic humanity of it, make you better prepared to really help people in what is going to be, just like you mentioned, a difficult, stressful time often. And the more that you are prepared for that, the less difficult and stressful it is. And you're right. I think building up that expertise, and honestly, if you're the kind of real estate agent who doesn't have this expertise yet, knowing who in your market, who are the agents who do, is going to be a useful thing too, because they may come to you first, and it may be better to refer that out and potentially get a referral commission off of it, rather than trying to go after the whole deal. Get them to the people who can help them the best.
Well, and I don't know what's happening in other markets per se, but I know Austin, everybody's moving here.
Right,
but what happens, because we've become the tech hub of the country, apparently, that a lot of executives are moving here, and their parents are following because they want to be close to the grandkids, or maybe they have a parent that's not in great health, and so they want that parent to be close to them. So it's creating a huge need. So knowing, being able to understand that and help when people are moving. I guess my point on this was the referral opportunity is definitely there. So an agent who has somebody leaving the market and going to move closer to their grandkids, can definitely, as they're perceived as the person who's selling the senior's house, they can then be the one to refer them to the agent on the other end.
Yeah, and again, you and your classes and your courses and all of that are also likely going to be a great source to potentially find agents who in the markets that they're referring to, in the markets that the families are going to, potentially finding the right agents who can help them as that distant local help, right? That distant area, to be able to connect them to the right resources. So yeah, I think that makes tons of sense.
Yeah, and I'm right at the start of this. I'm just launching my beta course next week, but I already have an agent in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've got one in Monterey. I potentially have one in Colorado, and then I have some agents here in Austin. So I'm hoping to build that community where they're going to be referring each other, and that will just continue to grow as more people more agents come on board. Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit tactical. So we've got a good understanding. We know what kind of difference we're going to be making. We know some of the need that's here. Say that I'm an agent who I'm bought in. I see the vision. I love the idea of helping this market. I just need to know the reality of this, right? Like any person, even if you go in with a great vision, there is always the I have to pay my bills, and I have a family to feed, and all of that, right? So let's talk about how somebody give some. Let's talk about some ideas for how somebody can take this, make the rubber meet the road, and start generating clients who they can help in this way. So what are some tactics that agents can be doing to get in front of this market and start generating business here?
Well, I think a lot of agents now are hopping on board the social media wagon, because that's the big lead generating thing that's right in front of us and hits us in our inboxes every day. And while that is effective to a degree, with the boomer senior market, it's more about building that one-on-one trust. I mean, ultimately, it's always about that. But with this one, it's even more so. So it's going to be a higher level referral market than I think most other transactions are. And I know because I've built my business as a real estate agent in several ways. I've done it through buying leads. I've done it through, relationship marketing and all those kinds of things. This one, knowing who to talk to get referrals from is going to be really important. So getting into the sales directors and lifestyle directors of senior communities is a big key, and helping them see you as somebody who's providing solutions and helping and referring people there. That's going to be important. Any kind of senior networking marketing that you can be a part of, any health and wellness fairs that are geared towards seniors and boomers that you can have an inexpensive booth at. Those kinds of hands-on where you're face-to-face with people. I also think, and I'm starting to do a lot more video, and even people who are, and that's where you're going to hit the adult children. But again, being able to tell your story and connect through video and through and through blogs, but I think telling your story out there and demonstrating your expertise through video is going to be critical. If I was to pick one area of social media, it would be video.
Yeah, let's dive into that a little bit, because that's actually something. I mean, hearing about kind of where and why and how reaching this market, right? You're exactly right. Video is going to be a fantastic way to get out and reach this market as well. And by the way, I completely agree. I think the in-person, the direct referrals, getting those relationships with the people who are naturally going to also attract the kind of people who need this help, always going to be a great option. But with video right now, just like you mentioned, we're at an interesting time in terms of the surge of the boomers who are going to be moving into this realm of either needing the help or having parents who need the help. That reality is there. We are similarly at a time right now where the cost to get in front of people via video, especially on Facebook, YouTube, this is the same, is so cheap. It's crazy. The reality is, so every market kind of goes through this, right? Where there's sort of a wild west phase, and then, more and more people start to figure it out, and it gets more and more expensive. We are right now at a very cost-effective time when it comes to video, to the tune of getting thousands of views for pennies, and being able to get your message out in front of people in a way that is very natural, and in a way that does a ton to build that relationship at scale, right? And the way that you can do that is real simple. So you mentioned putting together presentations in order to kind of show yourself as a subject matter expert and show that you can help people, right? Essentially what you do is you take those same topics, the same kinds of things that you might give at a presentation live, you hop on Facebook, you do a Facebook Live, you shoot a quick video where all you're doing is you're trying to get somebody from where they are here to where they want to be, and you take a piece of that and you just try and help with that, right? And you put out content where you talk people through those steps and through that information, where you help to get them, the marketing term that we call it is results in advance, where you help to walk them through that process and show them how you can help them by actually helping them, right? You give them some of that,
right.
Give them some of that help. And what's great is it's really easy to then take that and turn that into calls coming in, people who are calling you, wanting your help. And very simply, it's like you do like a 3 to 5 minute video, and you do a number of those videos talking about the subject. And at the end of it, you pretty simply say, hey, if this is something where you might want help with this process, we'd love to give you a free consultation, love to help you in whatever way we can. Just give us a call at 1-2-3-4-5-6-7-8-9-0. We'd love to help you. We'd love to try and make this easier for you. Just give us a call. And
yep.
you do that enough, you put that in front of an audience, and oh my, like the exposure that you can get and the connection that you generate by doing that is just amazing right now. And it's not going to be that way forever, right? Like we're gonna see companies like Coca-Cola, and we're gonna see like Nike and these big advertisers start moving into this social media,
the
video, digital
market,
space.
yeah, not just going, hey, things go better with Coke, and all the ads that you see on TV, and when you're going to the movies, thinking you're not going to pay to see commercials, but you are. Anyway, yes, they're gonna start telling stories and connecting authentically, and of all of the genres and generations of people that I've helped in real estate over the years, the older, the more mature market is the least trusting because they've been burned several times, and they're going to want you to show them how sincere and if you're the real deal. And that's the way to do it. I think I was looking at one of your podcasts, but you were talking with the guy from Easy, was it Easy Agent Program? Yeah. 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 And I love that he said, look, this is not pushing the easy button. This is not a quick, we're all looking for that low-lying fruit. And seniors are not, now there's sometimes you'll get to the somebody who they broke a hip, they had a fall, they had another health event, they went to the hospital, they went to rehab, and their doctor says, you can't go back into your home, it's not safe. Well, you've got a fast thing there, or somebody passed away and they've got to liquidate that estate. Those are the quick and easy ones. But most of them are going to take time to build and move down that funnel.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that what's interesting about that is that starts to inform you, if you are going to do video, what kind of content that looks like, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're not necessarily doing the content that's like, hey, if you need to sell right now, here's what you need to do to help. It's more, if you're a child with a parent who's getting into these ages, maybe here's some of the things that you should be looking for, some of the things that might help you in making decisions or having discussion, or where you're talking about helping people before they get to the point of needing your help, and helping them along that journey, and that kind of content. What that does, it connects you to them, so that when it comes time that they need help, they just know who to call. They know who to reach out to for that help, because you've been helping them all up until then, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Any of those kinds of things. And it's a softer touch than anything else. Getting involved in your church's senior group or adopting a retirement center to go volunteer at just a few hours a week. I know realtors are, we get sucked with time. It's hard. But, oh, man, that is so valuable. If you can strategically pick a senior community that you know that you think that you can serve well and that's going to refer business to you, volunteer there, and you'd be surprised at the business that you can get.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's part of, that's part of what's nice about picking a specific segment market, of having something that you're passionate about, having something that you can dive into, because it starts to, how to describe it. One of the easiest ways to get clear on, or at least clearer on how to do your marketing and how to, and what's a good thing to do or not, is to add in some level of restriction, right? Is to say, if the world is your opportunity of what you can do, that means the options are infinite and it's hard to pick. If you choose to go after a specific market, if you choose to be focused and narrow your focus and know who you're targeting and know who you want to reach, your marketing options become much more clear. It becomes much easier to decide, does this get me in front of the right people? Exactly. Does this actually, make me connect? Because it's either a yes or no, right? And it makes it easier to figure out what marketing is a good idea or not. Similarly, it makes it much more clear. If you are going to go and volunteer somewhere, you know what kinds of places make sense to do that are in alignment with the flow of the direction you're looking to go with your business and who you're looking to help.
Yeah, so it all feeds in together. And, the old adage, if you want to grow your business, narrow your focus.
Right.
And again, this is a multi-billion-dollar niche with huge numbers. We're growing older at a faster rate. And I know here locally, Austin is the second fastest growing market of 55 to 64 and the number one fastest growing of 65 plus. And there's a lot of markets out there that the 65 plus group is growing very fast. So, you can find that niche in whatever town you're in, whatever size market you're in. Of course, you're not going to refuse. If you get a first-time buyer, you're not going to say, oh, nope, can't serve you because I'm working with seniors. You're going to serve them. And you're also going to find out, hey, do you have parents in town or grandparents in town? You're going to find that extended reach. Or if they're not, I know I've got people that their parents are looking at moving to the area because they want to be by their grandkids.
Right.
So,
yeah, but that's the thing that's so interesting. By being known for something, you actually stand out in people's minds, even if they're not necessarily looking for the thing that you do. They at least know who you are. If you're the kind of person who just serves everyone, you don't stand out in their mind, right? They don't know why they'd go with you over any other realtor. So by picking something, you're just more likely to actually gain that mind share in the minds of not only your target client, but even ancillary people who are connected to them. So yeah. Absolutely.
And if you helped my aging mother or grandmother move into assisted living and you took care of all that and it was a nightmare for me and you took this huge pressure off of me, oh my gosh, if you can do that, then you can certainly sell my house and you can certainly find a house for my kids. It doesn't happen overnight, but that really, in staying in touch with those people after grandma's moved into assisted living is huge. You've got them. Absolutely.
I think that's a great place for us to segue into a few final topics that we could talk about. Start connecting people to where they can connect with you, and just get a couple of other things that we can go into real quick. So real quick, what somebody who's sold on this idea, they love this concept. They're really bought into the vision of helping this this downsizing, this right sizing market. What are some of the next steps that you would advise them to do? Where can they connect with you? All of that.
They certainly can reach out to me over Facebook. They can email me at kim@kimstanley.com. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to have phone conversations, FaceTime conversations. But the rare opportunity is coming up very shortly, because I am launching a course that I am so excited about that goes and not only gives you the information that we've been talking about, but I'm taking you step by step and coaching you and holding you accountable. And my goal is to help you create business from all the information I'm sharing with you, to give you really hands-on marketing tools and expertise and knowledge to be able to do it. That beta course is coming up on May 1st, which is next Wednesday. And I'm doing it for almost free, and I'm looking for 6 more agents anywhere in the country. So that's an opportunity to jump in right now. And they can find that either on my Facebook site, they can find it on LinkedIn, they can email me at kim@kimstanley.com, and I'll send them a link. And if they want to jump in, I would love it. They just need to, 6-week online live Zoom program, and I'm just asking for their feedback, their participation, at least as many of those as they can do, and $97 to cover the cost of materials. So that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds awesome. And by the way, I'm going to throw this out there as well. So very often, it's not the people that you're directly connected with who are a good fit for whatever thing, whether it's a job or an opportunity like a course like this. But it's very often the secondary connections, right? It's the people that you know who would be a good fit. So keep in mind, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this live, and you have somebody in mind, maybe you aren't a good fit for this, and it's not something that you're wanting to move forward with, but maybe there's somebody who you know who would be a good fit. Make the connection, right? Because very often that's who's going to be the best fit. So I just want to throw that out there. It may not be you,
it's not for everybody,
you know.
but for the right agents, this can be a huge benefit financially, and just in the satisfaction that they get in being in. I'm sorry, real estate's a tough business.
Yeah, absolutely.
People are wonky out there,
Yeah.
So you might as
people
well
are crazy. I've met them.
Yeah. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I am one. But,
yeah, right.
So if you're spending all the hours and the relentlessness that's involved in being a successful real estate agent, you might as well be working with people that you gain some real satisfaction from, and that definitely can be in the downsizing market. Absolutely.
Awesome. So one last question for you, and I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot, but you let me know if you have somebody or not. That's fine. But who do you know who you think would be a great fit to come on this show? Who do you know that's a great either real estate agent or somebody who's serving the real estate market, whether it's in a field related to what you're doing right now or not, who you think would be a good fit on this show, who could benefit the real estate agent community that we put this show and podcast out to?
That is a great question, and there are a couple that come to mind. And do you mind if I email you after the fact on that?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Okay. What I would love to hear, if possible, is if you have somebody who stands out, I would love to hear why. What I tend to find is by hearing this, essentially just so you know, what I would do is I would take a little bit of this segment of this show and I'm going to show it to that person so that they have a good idea of why we want them on this show.
Okay, that sounds good. Well, one person that comes to mind is, and I am a realtor, but I am not an active realtor because I'm working for realtors. But the person that is the broker of record for my husband, who's also the president of the Austin Board of Realtors right now, I'm very impressed with him, his sincerity, passion, mission, and his desire to help agents and help them affordably. He has a very affordable way that he supports agents. He's one person, and there's a couple others too. So
awesome. Yes, sounds great. So thank you so much. Yeah, because one of the things that I found is just like I just mentioned, it's not often the people who I like getting on this show are not necessarily the people who are actively seeking to get on shows like this. It's very often the people who are just doing the work, who are out there getting results, who are helping people right now, and aren't necessarily always trying to promote something, right? That we're able to get good help from those kinds of people. Now, don't get me wrong. The people who have something to share and have something to promote, like yourself, the reality is you're bringing value to the market, right? And so I love getting that on as well. But yeah, so thank you for that. So this is one of the last questions I like to end with too. So say somebody is watching this or has watched this show, or maybe they're just tuning in right now. What are the top 3 takeaways that you would want them to take away as a result of watching this episode?
I think I would like them to understand that the downsizing market, the mature market, is not only a huge opportunity, but there's a huge need to have caring, compassionate agents that can help them step by step through the process. I would want them to know that because I've done the journey, I've walked the walk, that I do have processes and systems and materials that can help them stand out from the crowd. And I would just like to tell everybody that no matter what arena that you choose, that you do need to choose some sort of niche to help you stand out from everybody else, whether it's new build or first-time buyers, whatever it is. Go deep into that, be known for that, and let your light shine in that. Awesome.
Fantastic, Kim. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I think this has been super valuable. It's actually a segment of the market, like I mentioned, I am somewhat familiar with, but I actually haven't been familiar with it from the real estate agent perspective. So I love the vision. I love the value that you can bring to people in this segment of their life. I think it's a much needed segment. It is a very in high demand and very valuable segment for the people who do choose to focus there. And I love that you are standing out as a resource to be able to help people who want to help that market, who want to help this segment of people who are in that downsizing vein of their life, that you can be there to help and make some of that process easy for them.
Well, thanks. And I hope to hear more about your travels not travels with Charlie, but your travels around the country with your beautiful family. So.
Awesome. Yeah. We actually, for anybody who happens to be interested, yourself included, we have a Facebook page called Seeking Shenanigans, where it is exclusively focused on our travels and what we're up to. So if anybody wants to check that out, feel free. Facebook page, and I think on Instagram as well. But we kind of document it for our own sake. But a lot of people like sort of following along as well. All right, awesome. Kim, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up real quick. Again, it was great talking to you. And maybe if you have something in the future, if there's more that we could talk about, I'd be happy to have you back on, and we could talk some more.
That'd be awesome, Zach. Thanks so much.
Thanks for coming on, Kim.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So that's the end of this episode. Real quick before you hop out, again, we talked about this a couple of times through the show. But if you are interested in diving into this wonderful world that we have right now of opportunity when it comes to video, and you'd like some help making that easy, check us out on localcelebrityshow.com. We've got a service that we're putting together to help you as a real estate agent become a celebrity in your local market. We make the content easy by helping you to book the guests so you can talk to businesses, restaurants, people putting on events. We take care of that process, so it's super easy for you. We also take that content that you produce with these guests, and then take that and make it fly even further by putting together a massive distribution strategy, putting you on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, anywhere and everywhere where it makes sense to put out this content. We turn it into a podcast for you. We throw some ads behind it to guarantee you got a viewership there. If you want that kind of help, if that sounds like something you might be interested in, I'd love it if you check out localcelebrityshow.com. I've got a free video there. You don't even have to put in your email or anything, where you can learn at your own pace of what we're up to, what this strategy looks like, and see if it's a good fit for you. So that's the end of this episode of Real Estate Growth Hackers Live. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Growth Hackers Show. Remember, done is better than perfect. To turn the marketing ideas and tactics you just learned into real growth for your real estate business, visit us at realestategrowthhackers.com. If you like this episode, consider sharing it with another real estate professional who could benefit from the information, or maybe you'd like to subscribe to the show to never miss an episode. You can leave a rating or review on iTunes with your biggest takeaway, helping this show to reach and help more people